Oh, greetings, Pathfinders. Welcome. I thought I had started the stream about 5 minutes ago. I'm going to try that next time. When you see me on Tuesday for Booster Bestiary, I'm just going to start off by saying you will see this stream go live about 5 minutes before it actually goes live, because I am testing out some new software here. But on to the main show for today is, as the banner said, Indiefinder Fridays. So we are going to look at some independently third-party published products today, and I can't wait to get to them. First, just a little bit of news. In case you missed Gen Con, Pathfinder Infinite is a thing, and I didn't really talk about it much last week. For those who don't know, Pathfinder Infinite is a way to get your third-party products out there. If you want to publish them using Pathfinder IP, set your book in Galarian and what have you, you'll get approximately 50% of your sales, with another 25% going to Drive-Thru RPG, another 25% going to Paizo, and in exchange you get a huge collection of hundreds of pieces of artwork from the Paizo Community Use Resources Kit, and the ability to set your product right there in Galarian. A lot more news will be coming out about that soon as we approach that October 13th date when Pathfinder Infinite goes live. One of the things that most interests me about it in recent discussions with other authors, though, has been the possibility of releasing short fiction and light novel works using Pathfinder Infinite, which I think is really nifty. But enough about that. We are going now to talk about these releases that I have found in the last week. So we're going to start out with Just a Second. These are $1 PDFs released approximately once a week by Legendary Games. The two we have this week are from Sasha Lara Noah Harving, a friend of mine, and Nav has released these fabulous little mini class variants. The one we have here, Practical Panache, is all about the swashbuckler. It gives you some new amazing options for your swashbuckler, how to get panache doing different things, like when you hit an opponent's DC using assurance with a combat maneuver, you'll get a panache instead of, the standard things that give you a panache. And these new styles all also have feats that go along with it. In the case of assurance, it lets you take 12 on your assurance with your athletics, which is amazingly cool. There's a lot of really neat stuff here. There's one for tricking magic items. There's one for using a dueling cape. There's even one for ones who swashbucklers who have familiars, swashbucklers who have pets. A lot of great stuff here for swashbuckler casters. There's one where if a ally succeeds when they get a bonus from your guidance spell, you get a panache back, and then a pseudo kind of swashbuckler metamagic that lets you hit two people at once with your guidance and give them an additional bonus. It's really cool. If you want a variant swashbuckler, I highly recommend you check it out. Only $1 on Drive-Thru RPG, and I love it. And just second, number 8, because I missed number 7 from last week. Number 8 are the Cosmic Champions. These variant champions focus less on retributive strikes and more on... Mechanically, they focus less on retributive strikes and more on improving allies when they successfully strike. They are all about the tenets of the cosmos, the stars, the sun, the void, the darkness, the moon. So they're going to be related to deities that are more that are more into the astrological spheres, which is really cool. It comes with an all new set of tenets, and instead of lay on hands, you get a kind of, I want to say, kinetic blast. You get a force blast called Cosmic Burst, and it's well balanced. There is a errata coming out shortly for this that I've heard from the author, a Luminary, which usually lets you give an ally an additional hit whenever they hit someone as a reaction. They're going to take a -4 to that. In addition, Hollowed is going to give you a +2 to your AC when you use that reaction that allows an ally to get some cover when they hit someone. Lets them kind of protects them from retaliation. Gives them a cover of night when they hit somebody, which I love that. Sorry, concealed. I always get concealed and covered mixed up. I gotta stop doing that. So yeah, really cool flavor here. A lot you could do with it if you ever want to be a paladin of Pluera or Desna or anything like that. This is going to be right up your alley. There's a series of feats for these that let you still get your Retributive Strike, let you still get your Lay on Hands, so you don't have to feel like you have to take Blessed One, or you can go ahead and take Blessed One, especially if your GM is giving you free archetypes. There's always that. Oh, I do really love the Adaptive Tide. The Moon Argent lets you bolster your ally strike by giving them extra dice of damage. It kind of gives them a sneak attack, which I think is really nifty. I love the whole idea of these support classes. Sasha has a really good, strong design chops for support classes. All right, now, the big review this week that I was asked to look over was Lands of Thea. This is a complete 165-page campaign guide. It is juicy. It is huge. It's a absolute deal at $25. Land of Thea. It's the setting is by Stephen Rashid James, and the 2E conversion that I was asked to review is specifically by Kevin Glusing. It's really cool. It has a bunch of new ancestries. It has a lot of pages on the lore of this really nifty setting. It's called the Shadow World campaign setting. It's kind of like shortly before the setting, or within the lifetime of several ancestries within the setting, there was a big cataclysm and all these big war and all these different realities kind of melded in on each other. It makes a good kitchen sink campaign with a really good reason behind it, and a lot of really cool fantasy elements in it. Some of it very reminiscent. As I'm reading through the journal, it kind of almost reminds me of almost like I want to say Bass Lag-ish, almost. Kind of a little bit of, but not that capitalist punk, not that steampunk, but there's some grittier elements to it. I really enjoyed reading through this. So just to go over the nuts and bolts, just go over the mechanics with you a little bit. We have Owlfolk, we have Cabero. One thing I love they did with the ancestries in this is they have certain ancestries who get a second ability boost based on their heritage, not just the same all around. I think that's fabulous. I love that. I want to look out for more of those because that's a really nifty idea. And then the ones, at least the Cabaros, also, because the Owlfolk are all but kind of about versatility, kind of the same way humans are. They have a first level feat that lets them pick feats from another heritage. So if you go I like this heritage's feats, but I like this ability boost more, you just burn your first level ancestry feat. And it doesn't just give you that. It also gives you a low bonus against mental effects. So it's not just adopted ancestry. It does give you another bonus that everyone will like, which is great. Minor bonus. I love it too, because it's not just like +1 status bonus. No. Lowers the number of rounds a mental effect would affect you. Oh man, that's so cool. The Owlfolk also get a free dedication feat at level 9. I mean, they have a feat that gives him a dedication feat at level 9, which that's always a plus. That always attracts a lot of people to an ancestry. A lot of cultural adaptability feats, some limited flight feats. They're Owlfolk. I mean, who doesn't love Owlfolk? All right, the Canites are dog people from the realm of dreams. What they did with this is they separated the heritage by breed size. So they have full-size dogs, large-size dogs, medium-sized dogs, and small-sized dogs. So whatever the real-world dog equivalent is, you can make with this one dog-folk ancestry, which is really cool. So it's like, if you want to be like a wolf, yeah, just take full-size. If you want to be like a Chihuahua or a Pekingese, yeah, you could go ahead and look at small-sized. It's great. They have innate spell-like abilities dealing with dreams. I love they have a Veil of Dreams and spell-like ability that if you take a feat could turn into a focus spell. I think that's really cool. Or is that like a different level or something? But having a spell-like ability that you could then spend focus points on rather than just have it be daily, I like that a lot. I also love that at level 5 they could get a dedication feat as a bonus feat, but only monk. I think that's really cool. That's a great little design bonus there. They're constitution based with a free ability boost. They have Ascent. They're dogs. they get some other cool stuff too. They get some bite stuff. They get a lot of blink dog related stuff, especially at higher levels, which is pretty cool. All right, so the other ancestry, we got the Deathless. They're a pseudo undead. They don't have negative healing, but the lore makes sense. There's a big thing in here about the lore about this emperor who cast this ritual to become immortal and accidentally undeaded half of his kingdom. Anyway, so they're kind of an undead, but not too undead. They have feats that let them do stuff like be bound to their armor, become a skeleton, get bite attacks. The neatest thing I saw in them is at 17th level, they could cast Miracle once. You can only use the feat once. But they're destroyed if they use it. which you're thinking like, oh, my PC would never take that, a feat to let you destroy yourself. Nah. When they're resurrected after doing it, they immediately get to retake another ancestry feat, and they can't take the feat again. Which, okay, I'm on board with that, actually. Like, whenever I usually read stuff that lets you cast a miracle, or that lets you do something only once, I'm like, nah, it's not for me. Then I'm like, oh, but you destroy yourself. Oh, and you lose the ancestry feat when you come back. That's pretty nifty. I gotta admit, that's really flavorful. It's fun. It's cool. I love that design. They got dwargs. Dwargs are half dwarf, half orc, which I'm shocked I've never even thought of that before. I don't know why I've never thought of that before. They're both Tolkien races. I've never thought of a dwarg before. A lot of stocky defense type feats and some innate magic. Mostly it's just really cool to see dwargs. Just the whole idea of dwarf orcs. It's really cool. I can't believe we haven't seen them before. All right, we have Gilahan, which are Lizardfolk, essentially. Lizard Brain, is their innate ability, lets them reroll a save against Fascinated, Confused, or Stupefied. Absolutely great flavor there. You got an Imprecise Sense. They could flick their tongue to detect poison. They get a lot of feats related to poison use. Spear feats, they're great spear fighters. Honestly, you could probably mix and mesh them with the Uruxi. I don't want to say they're the same. They are their own distinct ancestry, but oh, come on. We could mix and match with the Uruxi. Nobody would. It wouldn't break the game if you did that. There are also additional feats here for dwarves, halflings, elves. Some great stuff. Very flavorful with the setting. Very much brings them in line with how their elves are different, how their halflings are different. Very cool, very cool. There are base classes in this book. I believe 3-4 base classes in this book, which, man, that's really cool. The base classes, my favorite one, my favorite base class in this book is the Dragonspeaker. Very reminiscent of kind of like the Dragon Shaman from 3.5e. It's a draconic themed base class that it's how can I describe it? It's well, I'll just try to go through it with you here. So the first thing that struck me is the key ability is either wisdom or charisma, which is based on the class path you take, the I think disciple you take, the Dragonspeaker path you take. That's what it is. They have a lot of support abilities, but they could definitely stay in melee with everybody else. It kind of reminds me of the Omdora from 1E, is a good way to describe them, or almost like... Yeah, I think the Omdora from 1E is a good way to describe them there, if you've ever played that. They get a breath weapon at level 3, and they have a bunch of ways to boost the breath weapon, lower the cooldown time. Yes, the breath weapon and a lot of your abilities are based on what dragon flight you take, essentially what color dragon you are keyed after. There's once per day your breath weapon could do more dice. Everyone could do that even without a feat. That's pretty neat. Sorry, let's go to these paths. So the Dragonspeaker path include the Envoy, which are like charisma-based bards, the Devoted, which are like charisma-based sorcerers, and the Disciples, which are like wisdom-based monks. So that's why they have two different key abilities. It depends on if you want to be like a monk, a sorcerer, or a bard. When I say like a sorcerer or a bard, I mean it literally gives you the dedication feat and archetype feat improvements for it, which I'm all on board with that. Like, it's saving word count. Everyone will know instantly what it does. Like, it's complicated, but if you've read the core rulebook and if you played Pathfinder 2 at all, you will read that and be like, cool, I know exactly what that's going to feel like. I got that. It's a sorcerer, it's a monk. The bard isn't so much the dedication as it gives you, like, inspire competence, inspire courage. It does. They spell out what you get because it's a little different. They also get auras, is their focus spell type. They have a bunch of feats that give them focus points and give them auras, which do exactly what they sound like. They're emanations that buff your allies. They give bonuses to your allies. Bonuses against fear, bonuses to hit, bonuses to damage. They have auras, which that's great. I mean, who doesn't want to play a frontlining assistant class, which, even though this is in a campaign book, which automatically means it's intended maybe for more experienced players, I think this is a great class for newer players. I know the archetype feats might take a little while to explain, but any class that just has straight up, I help other people by doing this, is great in PF2 for newer players, because PF2, especially at higher levels, is all about teamwork. But not all that teamwork is that obvious. A lot of it for newer players requires planning with your teammates, and I've seen newer players struggle with that. So I think the Dragonspeaker is great for newer players. I think it's great for older experienced players. I just think it's a really cool class. You want to be as dragony as you could be. Don't look at Sorcerer. Don't look at Dragon Disciple. Look here. Look right here at Dragonspeaker, because that's all you need. All right, so Gladiator is the next base class in this book. At first, when I started reading, I was thinking, oh, this is just a charisma-based fighter who can take the entertain ability to buff himself when people are watching him fight. Then I realized, oh no, it's more than that. This is about when you use your ability to entertain, you actually have a little magical sensor. It's like a familiar that follows you around. That's all it does. It starts taping you and projects you out so that you could get an audience. Like, that's always been the problem with these gladiator type archetype feats, these gladiator type classes. The big problem I've had with them in the past is it expects you to be in an arena. Like, it infers like the entire campaign will take place in one or something, which never happens. Rarely happens. Okay, maybe in Fist of the Ruby Phoenix, but rarely. This lets you basically make your own arena, in that you have a familiar that can project a big image of you fighting, so you feel like you are entertaining a crowd, as long as you're just not in the middle of the woods, I suppose. Which, yes, this probably isn't the best class for a wilderness survival, but even then, you can do some stuff with it. I'm not saying you can't do some stuff with it. So, in addition to that sensor that buffs your initiative attack and damage, which offsets the fact that you don't hit normally as high as a fighter with this unless your sensor's on you, by the way. You get a skill feat every level with the Gladiator, but every other level, the skill feat is limited to a select list of stuff you'd expect a Gladiator to have. That's a really clever way of balancing that skill feat every level, but not every skill feat you'd ever want. I mean, there's some great ones on there, but it is a limit. The different paths, you have Bruiser, who's all about doing damage. He can get legendary with a weapon while he's entertaining. Dancer focuses on mobility and using the entertainment act as much as possible. And Watchdogs are defenders who defend their friends. They could shield up for their friends, take damage for their friends, So you got the three core fighters there, gladiator types there. You have the Dexy, you have the Strengthy, and you have the Defendy. Great! There's some cool fighter and barbarian feats scattered throughout it. They tend to use entertain instead of stance or rage, which that's a great way of bringing in other classes' feats into your class, but still making it distinct. They do also have a number of stances, which at level 9 they can enter for free when they roll initiative, because gladiators are all about showing off. Awesome. Third base class in this book is the Noble, which anyone who's watched my show for a while knows I'm super excited about anyone trying to bring a Noble into the game, because I like playing my pompous Nobles. So Noble's really cool. It's an intelligence-based class, but like the Dragonspeaker, there are other keys it could get depending on what path you take. Other key ability scores you could take. It's feels like a cross between like almost a bard and a summoner, except it's not a spellcaster, which I know seems kind of weird. It doesn't even get skill feats every level, which again, kind of weird. It definitely wants to frontline, and the primary feature you're really looking at with this is the you get a little buddy. It's the man, I just forgot it mid-sentence here. Govern your business when you finally return. This is a Paragon Ancestry feat. You get a little buddy in this. I'll tell you about it when I get there. This is a charge. You get a charge. And this charge is like, it's not quite an Eidolon. It's not going to be frontlining for you. But it's a little bit more than a familiar. It's not just going to be limited to a small select, like 1 or 2 abilities. It could do more than that. But it levels up as you invest more feats in it. It could go like charge, page, companion. It definitely levels up. It even gets access to archetype feats. It could fight alongside you if you want to focus on that. The different focuses for this, you could be a merchant where you're trading crafting and crafting skill feats. A paragon, which is my personal favorite, who gets extra ancestry feats and the ability to unlock more heritages. Really cool. I love that a lot. The warlord is really strength based. Strength is its alternate key for that one, and gets a lot of weapon specialization abilities. And man, what was the other one? Aristocrat is your standard humanoid. That's the one that most readily buffs your page. There's also one Prince. Affluence Prince. There's another one where you get to be like a prince, and you get a bunch of bonuses to a sovereign. Gets bonuses to diplomacy, intimidate society, special ways to use intimidate, diplomacy, society. It's more the traditional courtier class if you ever played that in third. Most of the class's bulk of it is in the feats. It has a lot of feats that feel like they're stronger than skill feats, but they feel like skill feats. It's what you'd expect. A lot of cool stuff with like sowing rumors, rallying your allies. Like I said, it feels kind of like a bard, but you have that focus with your familiar doing some actions for you. It could throw up a herald. It has heraldry, which reminds me of the banner of the Cavalier from 1E. And gives buffs to your allies and whatnot. And most of the class features are based on that charge, like I said, which the charge is not just for the noble, in that there is options in here to get a charge. Here's the page here on charges. There's an option here to get a charge using a general feat, which I like. It won't be as good as a noble with your charge, which that's expected. Yes, the charge. Oh, thank you. I see you in chat there. Yes, the charge starts as a page. It becomes a steward. Then it can become essential. Then a major domo. All right, we have rules here for elemental companions. We have some rules here for the multi-class archetypes. There are 2 unique archetypes in this book. One is the Patriot Adventure, all based on having a charge. And the other is the Sky Racer, which is all based on getting a Wigan mount. That's one that you definitely probably should have uncommon on there outside of this setting, because Wigan mounts at level 2 are a thing that will change your campaign significantly. There's an entire multiple, I want to say 8 pages in this book about sky racing, which is really exciting thing if you want to throw that in your high fantasy campaign. Racing around on wyverns. It sounds really fun. All right. There's a bunch of other rules here in this feat. There's some new backgrounds in this as well. A couple other general feats. Most of the other rules in here, though, are in the campaign, the world. The campaign setting part. You'll see sidebars all over the place. Let me just scroll down here. As you can see, this awesome art that gives you an idea of what the setting's like. There's trains, there's warlords. Hi there, Ren. But you will find a bunch of really cool mechanics just thrown out here. Here's a little hill giant ancestry just thrown here into a sidebar that gives you some feats you could find from other books. There's just a lot of cool, nifty things thrown into the sidebars here in the second half of this book, which $25 for 165 pages. I get it. That's fair. But don't think that just the first half of the book is where all your crunchy mechanics you could throw into your own campaign are, because there's a lot of them back here. One of my favorites that I found back here was called Metamagic Stones. They're consumable items. I can find it really easily. It's a really big chart. Here they are. Everfall stones. They're consumable items that let you apply a metamagic to a spell even if you don't know the feat. Which the different materials the stones are made out of determine what traits the spell has to have to be usable by that stone. I think that's a really nifty limitation. I think that's a fun way to, if you're a GM and a player likes using certain spells or has a certain spell that you think will benefit from just a little boost of a meta magic, you could kind of give them those in their treasure and they might take advantage of it. So there we have it. This is the Land of Thea. Awesome book. You get your 3 base classes. You get a bunch of other nifty feats. And it's just a cool campaign setting. So check it out. It's by Samurai Sheepdog. You'll find it there on DriveThruRPG. And last but definitely not least, I was asked to review Ancestries of Tombstone, the Centaur. I'm a huge fan of Centaur Ancestries, so I'm quite a bit biased on this. I love Centaur Ancestries. I've never had a chance to play one myself, but just the idea of playing a Centaur I think is really badass. Those who don't know, Tombstone is a campaign setting kind of very much wild, weird fantasy west. It takes place in America in the 1860s, 1870s, in the Wild West days. And It's by Rusted Iron Games. I believe it's their primary campaign setting, and they have a bunch of little books on their ancestries and whatnot they're affordable. They have a lot of good crunch in them. You should check them out. The Centaur, only one little thing I do want to point out here. They did a good job with it's a large, but it only has a 5-foot reach because you're just a human stapled on a horse. Which, I mean, you're a human stapled on a horse, so you need that 5-foot reach or things are going to get kind of absurd. And of course, you're large, but unlike Pathfinder 1, you're not going to mess around with your weapon damage rolls. I mean, you are just a human. You're still going to be using medium-sized weapons. They're the only, if I had to, because I'm just going to criticize because we happen to be on the page, I'm not a fan of the 40-foot land speed. I feel like the Centaur should have like the standard 25, maybe 30-foot land speed, and then have like an ability where it could move 80 if it double moves or something. But that's such a minor criticism because everything else about this ancestry is really cool. The heritages are nice. You got one for anti-falling, one for resisting fire. You got one that gives you innate spells. I mean, they're really nifty. And then the actual feats are what you'd want for a centaur. You could kick people with your hooves. You could let teammates ride on you, which this was released before Ancestry Guide, I believe. And they did a great job balancing having a PC riding on you. It takes them one action every round to mount you or stay mounted, and then you have to spend the action moving. They did a good job with that. There is a feat that then gives you an additional hoof attack you could take while your PC is riding you, while your teammates riding you, which, hey, that works really well. There's some more flavorful ones in here, like using a shield to block for a teammate, or getting an occult innate's cantrip. There's definitely enough here that you will not have to rely on a heritage if you want to make your own custom feeling centaur. I'll take a look at the speed for the final version and the Tombstone gives. Oh, thank you for that. Yeah, I'm not. It's not even necessarily that I don't understand why the centaur is 40 feet. I get it. If I had to pick out something else about the centaur that worries me, I do enjoy that there's a first level feat that lets you get through 5-foot squares, because I know large ancestries have problems in dungeons. I do kind of wish more ancestries would take the approach of you're large, but you only take 2 squares. You just take the long squares. But I know there's no easy way to write that out, or easy way to educate that, so I get it, but just a thing. I'm very happy with this. I'm pleased I got it. It was totally worth the money for me. I want to play a centaur now. I just wanted to play one before, but I want to play a centaur now using these rules. If you ever want to play a centaur, you should definitely check this out by Rusted Iron Games. Again, you can find it at DriveThruRPG. It's fabulous. So just to wrap things up here a little bit, as we are approaching the end of the show, thank you everybody for joining me. Thank you for your questions in the various chat rooms that this is being displayed in. I love doing these reviews. You might notice the first time I did this, I did a review of all the cool things that were on the Pathfinder 2e Creation subreddit. I'll be doing that once a month, so next week I'll do that. It's just easier to organize that monthly rather than weekly, just because of how Reddit organizes its posts and how much content there is. I would rather do that monthly than weekly. So next week, I will be doing the Pathfinder 2e Creations Reddit, and any other cool 2e things I see that happen to come out that catch my eye. So if you have any Pathfinder 2e material that you want me to review here, please drop me a line. I will be glad to drop money your way, buy more stuff, print them out, put them on my bookshelf, and bug all my players to use them when I see fit. I hope you all had a great week, and I hope you all have an awesome weekend, because things are actually going pretty well for me, and I want everyone out there in the Paizosphere to be having a great time too. Thank you very much for stopping on by, and have a great day.